There are many prophecies hanging on your life. I'm a pastor. I've seen many people come to me before. They said every meeting they go to, a prophet must call them out and prophesy. Prophecies are fulfilled according to the time schedule that the Lord has apportioned to them. Fellowship is deeper than what you think. A man can pray fast and he thinks he's deep with God. But when they start assessing him, they will assess him first from foundational truths. Do you? Number one is submission of identity. That's why from today, your surname we have to change. I'm telling you, and there is so much corruption in the West today. Today, women don't change their surname. That's why before we did this thing we did here this morning, your father had to hand you over to the church, and the church handed you over to your husband. So if you are a wife, you must learn to submit your identity. I know there are unique cases where, through mutual agreement, a wife may be allowed to keep her surname as well. These things happen. For example, there are places where certain men don't have any male children and a generation is about to be wiped up. So out of honor, you can be asked to just keep your son. All of those things happen. I'm not against if there is a mutual agreement. But you need to understand that you have to submit your identity. You will henceforth find your identity in him. And that's how heaven recognizes it. That's why I say a woman cannot prophesy with her head uncovered. That means that woman must always stay under government. The husband must be her identity. It wasn't talking about this head. Because in the previous verses, it called the man the head of the wife. So if you are studying in context, it's talking about the man. So the woman must come under the covering of the husband so that the husband will have honor as she submits to him. So you submit identity. Number two, you submit resources. And I tell you why you submit resources. Only a harlot gives her body to collect money. Because a harlot values money more than her body. If you have submitted your body, then there's nothing you can keep anymore. Otherwise, that is more important than your body. And I also understand that there are contexts where a husband lacks proper financial management. Where through mutual agreement, the wife has to keep the resources of the home for the benefit of that government. I also know that there are contexts where a husband can be riotous and the wife may have to keep her resources because it is most reasonable, and other authorities like the church can give that level of clearance. But at the foundational level, you must understand that everything you have, you now share with your husband. And when you share these things, women say, no. Man, that's why we warn you. Don't marry somebody that you love because you saw the size of his chest. Marry somebody that you trust, because it's foolishness to want to commit your life to somebody and then you are saying, I'm careful. If you are afraid, why did you enter the marriage? Is that not risk that is unreasonable? If you don't trust a man enough to submit to that man, what are you doing with him in the altar? You must learn to trust before you submit your feelings, because there are requirements in this institution. Number three, you submit your authority. That means you come under his authority. He becomes your head. So everything you want to do today, he has to give permission for you to do it. That's how God designed it. You can no longer wake up and say, I want to go to Dubai. I feel like going on holiday. You can no longer wake up and say, I want to do this. I want to. It's no longer in your syllabus. From today, it's may I. That's marriage. And thank God, what I'm sharing here is not in Oxford. I'm sharing it in church. If I go out for marriage seminar, I will talk about friendship. But when I'm in church, I will talk Bible. And then finally, you submit your body. Because that's the highest thing you have. You submit your body. Mutually, you submit your body. Your body is no longer your own. Your body belongs to your husband as much as it belongs to you. You have to submit your body to your husband. These are 4 levels of submission, and this is the code for harmony in marriage. You must have heard it in many places, that all men desire is respect and honor. It's God that designed it that way, because God already gave a commandment that women should submit. That's why he designed it that way. Then you think God was harsh with women. You now come to the men, and God now went further and gave men even a more superior standard. He said in verse 25, husbands, love your wives, even as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. So the love that God told men to give their wives is not feeling. It's absolute sacrifice, and sacrifice unto death. So a man who does not love a woman enough to die for her has no right to call himself a husband. So it's actually a balanced equation. This is why a woman who submits to a husband, who is a husband indeed, is not taking a risk. Because at the end of the day, everything that man has, he will relinquish it back to the woman.